Welcome back to our last video about section 1.1. So far, we've talked a lot about solving quadratic equations, that is, equations where there's an x squared. In this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about cubic equations, which show up less often, but they do show up. So here's an example. I've got an x minus 1 cubed, and I want to know when that's equal to x squared minus 1. So before I can do anything, just like before, I have to simplify everything here. So that is, I need to expand out this x minus 1 cubed. And I want to remind you, x minus 1 cubed, that's just x minus 1 times x minus 1 times x minus 1. So I need to FOIL this all out. So I'll FOIL out this piece first, which will give me x squared minus 2x plus 1 times x minus 1. Okay. And now I will simplify this, which is going to be a little bit messier, but I'll have an x squared times an x. That's x cubed. And then x squared times minus 1, so that's minus x squared. Minus 2x times x, that'll be minus 2x squared. Minus 2x times minus 1, that's plus 2x. And then I have a plus x there, and then a minus 1. Okay, so collapsing all of that as much as possible, I get that x minus 1 cubed is x cubed minus 3x squared plus 3x minus 1. Now, so far I've only been looking at the left-hand side, so this x squared minus 1, it's just sort of going to live on every line here. But now I can go ahead and move this x squared minus 1 over to this side. So that'll give me an x cubed minus 4x squared plus 3x. And actually the minus 1, when I move it over, I add 1, and so this minus 1 goes away. And so I just get equals 0. And so, if you didn't see it before, now you see what I mean by the fact that we're looking at solving a cubic equation here. Because I've started now with an x cubed instead of something with an x squared like we have in the previous examples. But I want to note here, actually, there is no constant term. And so, like most cubics we're going to encounter in this course, I can actually factor an x out of every term here. So namely, I can rewrite this as x times x squared minus 4x plus 3 equals 0. And this now is a quadratic, so I can factor it like before. That is, I factor x squared minus 4x plus 3 as x minus 3 times x minus 1. And now the product of all three of these things is 0. But the same logic we've used in the previous videos applies. When the product of three things is 0, it means one of them is 0. So either x is 0, that's one solution, or x is 3, that's another solution, or x is 1, that's the last solution. And so this original equation that we wrote down, it in fact actually has three different solutions, 0, 3, and 1. Again, I'd encourage you to check your answer by plugging it in. So just to plug in 3, for example, just to make sure that one works, you can plug in 3 minus 1 cubed, that'll be 2 cubed, that's 8. And if you plug in 3 here, you get 3 squared minus 1, and lo and behold, that's also 8. And so we've at least checked this x equals 3 solution. Okay, let's just do one more example just to make sure we're comfortable with dealing with these kinds of cubics. So here we're asked to solve the equation x plus 1 times x plus 2 times x minus 3 is negative 6. So to start with, just like last time, I'm going to need to FOIL out this left-hand side. And if you're not comfortable with this, you should really pause and try this first before I do it, just to make sure that you're comfortable multiplying out something like this. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and start by multiplying these two pieces together, which will give me x squared plus 3x plus 2 times x minus 3 equals minus 6. Okay. And now I get to multiply all of this out, and so this is the messy part. So I have to multiply the x squared by each of these, which will give me x cubed minus 3x squared. Then I have to multiply the 3x by each of these. That'll be plus 3x squared minus 9x. And then I have to multiply the 2 by each of these. That'll be plus 2x minus 6 equals minus 6. I'll go ahead and collect this stuff to simplify it. So I've just got the 1x cubed. Actually, the minus 3x squared and the plus 3x squared, they actually cancel out. The minus 9x and the plus 2x, that'll be a minus 7x. And actually, the minus 6's also cancel because I need to add a 6 to get rid of this. And that also gets rid of that. So I'll just get equals 0. So I have x cubed minus 7x equals 0. Just as in the last example, I want to factor out an x because there is no constant term, so I can factor an x out of everything. So I'll get x times x squared minus 7 equals 0. Okay, you could try and factor x squared minus 7, but I think it's easier instead to just say I know how to solve x squared minus 7 equals 0, so I'll set it up separately. So x is 0, x squared minus 7 is 0, means that x squared is 7. And if x squared is 7, that means x is plus or minus the square root of 7. I really want to emphasize this very last piece when you're solving an equation like x squared minus something equals 0. I move the thing to the other side, so I get x squared is 7. It's really tempting to say, so x is square root of 7. But you have to remember whenever you're looking at something like this, that squaring loses a minus sign. And so because square root of 7 is a solution to this equation, so is minus square root of 7. So you have to be sure to include both. But that's it. At the end of the day, there are 3 solutions to this equation. And the 3 solutions to this equation are 0 and plus or minus the square root of 7. But that's it for now. I'll see you next time when we start talking about section 1.2, where we'll start talking about fractions.